Yes, welcome back to another F1 2021 My Team Career video, where today we're joined for round number 13 in Season 1 for the Russian Grand Prix, racing around Sochi today. So if you do enjoy today's episode, then why not hit the like button down below, and if you want to stick around for this journey and see where we might end up at come the end of the season and who we might be partnered with at the start of next season, and hit that subscribe button down below as well whilst you're at it to follow along for more career mode episodes and for more F1 content, as it's the start of the real life season soon, and hopefully we'll have some facecam videos out on this channel as well, where I'll be sharing my opinion on the up and coming season, as it's right around the corner as we speak now, with 4 or 5 teams already releasing their liveries, and I'm sure there'll be more updates to come in the near future as well. So there'll be a lot of content to catch up on this channel. But in the meantime, we've got some My Team Career Mode content for you guys as we speak right now. And it's all hotting up in the season as we speak. Lewis Hamilton, he's running away with the lead, but that second place spot is still up for grabs. And Valtteri Bottas, he's been slipping away from that title at the last couple of races, as recently he's been racking up those DNFs, and last time out he got another one at Monza. If you didn't watch that episode, then be sure to check that one out before you watch this one, as it was chaos in Italy with 4 DNFs and 2 safety cars. It was a really good race, and we managed to get into the points as well, which was very handy. But as we start this qualifying session in Sochi, you may have just seen on screen we had an email saying that some regulation changes will be in effect for the up and coming season, so we may need to start thinking about saving those R&D points for the next season, so we can adapt and upgrade the parts that we already have, so they're compatible for next season, and that we won't lose any progress going into next season. So we need to be mindful about that, and that might mean that we may slip down the performance table slightly. So that might mean that we might tail off at the end of the season, but hopefully that will also mean that we'll have a strong start to the next one, and hopefully we'll be fighting for those points consistently rather than being in the points one race and then out of the points the next. So yeah, hopefully good things to come as we're on our second lap of qualifying right now, and we get spun around by Lando Norris. He's been a thorn in our side throughout this whole qualifying session. We in our first lap we had a bit of a traffic obstacle with him, and now on our second lap we stayed out to try and better our first one, and I think we just closed the door on him a bit too much, and he got too scared of being squeezed into the wall, and decided to take his anger out on us instead, and we spun around and have some floor damage inevitably. So we've only got one more lap to send us through into Q2. We're in P16 currently, so we're safe for now, but for how long? Qualifying is complete and we've been nudged down into P17, so this is now or never. We've got to send it in this lap to send us through into that second qualifying session. With 8 tenths up currently, going through the last couple of corners. We're flying as we speak, but can we gain any extra time through this last couple bends? And across the line, it's a second up on our previous lap time, and we finished in P9 comfortably through to Q2. But we did have a little bit of a scare for one moment. So hopefully that's kicked our ass into gear, and we've decided to get these lap times in as quick as we can. Otherwise, we might end up in the same situation where we're having to wait for car parts to be fixed. So hopefully that won't be the case this time out, and we'll be able to set as many laps as we possibly can. So our first lap, we're down in P15, so not great, but it's something to build on, something to use as a reference point. As you can see, that delta helps so much to sort of build your lap times upon and see presently where you might be losing time. So personally, it's something I really find helpful, and I hope in the future games they're able to implement something we're able to see a delta time from the previous qualifying sessions. As if we set a lap time that puts us in P2, so I don't think we need to set any more lap times throughout this whole qualifying session, as we end up in P5. And we've absolutely smashed that. From almost being knocked out in Q1, we've then just gone and set a lap time that's put us amongst the thick of it, and gone and knocked out Daniel Ricciardo, the McLaren driver, who was once one of the title contenders in this career mode. He's been knocked out, and I think he's just tried to go, being a bit too confident on those medium tyres, and he's been knocked out because of it. So he can start on any tyre he wants to now, and for us, it means that we've got 1 foot through the door into a points finish in Sunday's race. So hopefully we can get across the line and get some more points in the bag for Shogs GP. But first of all, we've got to finish this qualifying session and see where we'll end up going into tomorrow's race. And currently we're sat in P9, just ahead of Esteban Ocon. So some work to do here, but we've only got one more lap to do it in. This qualifying session, remember, is shorter than the rest. It's only 10 minutes long, so usually around most circuits you only have 2 laps to be able to set your best lap times in and see where you end up in tomorrow's race. And right now we're sat in P9 going across the line, only 2 attempts made up throughout the whole lap. I think we lost a couple of attempts right in the final sector, and that's put us in the same place as we were before. P9 is where we'll start in tomorrow's race. But look at the top of the table: Verstappen, Norris, Perez, Leclerc, and then it is the Mercedes guys of Hamilton and Bottas. So they're all the way down the order in P5 and 6. So are we going to see an upset here today in Sochi, and are we beginning to see the championship swing away from Mercedes' hands?
Welcome along then to Sochi and the Russian Grand Prix, one of 8 cities in the world to play host to both the Olympics and a Formula One race. It's a Grand Prix that's proven difficult to crack for anyone beyond the first 2 rows of the grid in recent years, so let's see if that can change today. It's full throttle for around 56% of the lap here at the Sochi Autodrome, a 3.6 mile run around the site of the 2014 Winter Olympics. 12 right turns and 6 left turns give us a total count of 18, with passing opportunities available into turns 1 and 13. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton and Bottas, Charles Ocon, Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda, Vettel, Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen and Russell, Stroll, Gasly, Antonio Giovinazzi and Carlos Sainz. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Drugovich, Mick Schumacher, Latifi, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nikita Mazepin. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So it looks like we've been gifted a couple places, being bumped up into P7 from P9, and this is one of the best chances we're going to get all season of grabbing some points in today's race. We're going to do a standard strategy from the softs onto the mediums, and there's no really real room to improve the strategy there. So let's head down onto the track with Bottas starting just ahead of us on the medium tyres. To 5 red lights we go, and away we go for the Sochi Grand Prix. We get a bit of a slow start. Ocon swamps us on the right hand side, flies past us. He's got a great start against us, and he's up into P6 just ahead of Bottas. So he's neck and neck, jockeying for position. We dive down the inside, getting ahead of Ocon and Bottas, slowing the car down just enough to not move into the back of Charles Leclerc, and we're up into P6. An electric start to this Russian Grand Prix, and now we can see and try and settle into this P6 position with Bottas just he's actually moved down the order. Actually, I've just seen on the top left hand corner, I think he must be down in P9 after that move Ocon and myself made on him into turn 2, and that's going to be a major blow to Valtteri's championship fight against Hamilton, as he's 26 points behind him as we speak going into this Grand Prix, and he may end up being further behind him come the end of this race. And look at this move, we saw the gap open up on the right hand side there, and we took our chance with open arms, but the same can't be said for Valtteri Bottas. He's got swamped on the outside of turn 2, and he's almost at the points, as we can see, as we go round this long left-hander down into turn 4, and I think Vettel's going to get him down into turn 4. He does, gets ahead of Bottas, who's on the medium tyres. But let's have a look at the start of this race for the leaders, and Verstappen gets a brilliant start, both Red Bulls do. Perez up into P2 from P3, so the Red Bulls have brought their A game to Russia today, but for how long will Perez stay ahead with Lando Norris? He's not backing down, he's still putting up a fight, going around the long left-hander. Who's going to come out first? It's Perez. He's up into second place. The Red Bulls showing that they made some tweaks to their cars and are proving their performance today after a good early display from them, something that they can maybe build upon from today and maybe start challenging Mercedes consistently throughout these latter stages of the season, and maybe even challenge for the title, who knows. But if they do challenge for the title, they've left it very late to do so. But we've also left it very late to change our engine components with the ICE at 72%, our energy storage at 65%, and our turbocharger at 60%. So they're all within region of blowing up on us today, and we may not actually end up finishing this race. So we're clinging on to each and every lap, but we're also clinging on to this P6 position as Bottas is now coming at us at a rate of knots round this left-hander, and that Mercedes car, even with the medium tyres on, has still got the overwhelming pace to get past us. We did leave the door open slightly to try and stay on Bottas's tail and stay in his slipstream to maybe catch up with the likes of the cars ahead of us to maybe get some more points, but I don't think we're going to do so, as we're now getting swamped by Daniel Ricciardo up on the inside of us round turn 1, and that McLaren car with the DRS open has just glided past us, and we're no match for the team in orange. But can we get a late dive bomb down into turn 2? No, we can't, so we're just going to have to try and stay in his slipstream now instead of Bottas's and try and keep up with the leaders ahead of us. But as we move on to lap 5, Daniel Ricciardo sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and we're just look at this, at 2.4 seconds off the pace of the McLaren car, and even though we're trying our hardest to keep up the leaders, we're just no match for them. Our engine power just doesn't match theirs, and we might even slip further behind, with Vettel now closing down on us. The Aston Martin car 5 tenths behind us, so not far at all as we enter this long DRS straight. He's going to have DRS on us, so are we going to keep this P8 position going into turn 2? Vettel now closing down on us, and Tsunoda, we might even fall out the points here with the full-time world champion now getting in our slipstream. DRS open now, we've moved to the right. He has a little wobble as we move into the inside of turn 2, trying to position our car as best as we can, and we stay ahead going into turn 2. And now hopefully we can break away from the pack behind us and maybe move forward and break the tail of the likes of Tsunoda and Vettel. But as we enter the final corner of the very same lap, Vettel's still there. We haven't made any improvement on our race, and this time the German's a bit closer. He's going to try and size up and move down into turn 2 once again, but will we be able to defend against the 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel? Moving to the inside now, we've left it too late to try and defend at this position, so we have to go round the outside down into turn 2, and we have the overwhelming speed to get past the German once again and keep this P8 position for now. But all this fighting is really beginning to wear out our tyres, and we're really starting to feel the effects right now as we speak. We're now falling even further behind the leaders as well. 7.5 seconds behind Ricciardo now, and that's just after a couple more laps. So the pit stop really can't come soon enough for us, and we might have to end up making the undercut on some of the other drivers, and hopefully that will work out for us. And maybe the early pit stop will actually make more of a gap between myself and Vettel and help us in this fight for some points. But as we go around turn 15 and we spun it, we've lost control of the back end of our car as we're trying to navigate through sector 3, the tricky sector 3 portion of this track, and we've now down into P19, might even be further behind with Latifi and my teammate Drogovic making the move. So we're now sat 12 or 13 places behind where we just were. That little one mistake proved to be costly for us. After such a promising qualifying session, we've just thrown it all away, and now we've got an absolute mountain to climb to be able to get back into a points paying position. As you can see, we just got too much on the curb, and then we were very lucky not to be able to get any damage. Actually, we managed to stop the car just in time, so I guess that is a plus side to that spin. So even though we didn't lose much time, there was just a massive train behind us, and that just meant that we just moved down so many places, and that's going to be an absolute we've got an uphill battle to face as we now getting swamped by our teammate once again, making the move on the inside. We're going to get back in this slipstream, trying to make the move down the inside into turn 2, late on the brakes, and that moves us up another position, going slightly wide on the exit there, but who cares? I was fuming at this point. We're out of the points right now, and our teammates coming back at us. That's just not what we need. We need to be working together to move up these positions, but he's just trying to get one up on us and proven to be a nuisance in our side today. Nevertheless, we can't let this affect us, and we've got to keep concentrating and knuckle down, get some composure behind us, and try and claw our way back up into this race. And we're going to do that with a move on our teammate, going late on the brakes, a little bit too late as we go wide and off circuit, and that allows Drugovic to come and attack us once again. But Mazepin is close behind as well. We've got to watch out for him as he makes the move on Drugovic, and now he makes a dive bomb on us, almost sending the car into the side pod, and that was a little bit too close for comfort right then. And now we're not making any moves further afield as Mazepin makes another move on the second DRS straight with DRS flowing. He's sent that straight back past us, and we really need to get off these soft compounder tyres. I think now is the time to come into the pits. We should be making moves on Latifi and Schumacher by now, but instead we're moving further behind once again as we go understeering through turn 15 and 16 chicane. Seething with anger now, we see the pit lane is now in sight, and we go bundling our way down into the little alleyway. I think we really need this pit stop to be able to recompose ourselves and get back onto a fresh set of tyres. You know, our pit crew, they're going to be saying to us, we're 5-0 down, but go out there thinking it's still 0-0. That's the sort of mentality we need right now. We need to restart this race from the bottom of the table and see how many positions we might be able to make up. You know, even with a safety car, we might end up actually clawing our way back into these points if there's a big crash or something like that. So we'll just have to wait and see. There's still a long way to go in this race, 17 laps. Let's see where we might end up. But at the sharp end of the table, Max Verstappen and Perez, they're still leading the way up ahead in P1 and 2. The Red Bulls have been dominating this race, and it's really they're really showing their performance here today. With Lewis Hamilton down in third place, so he may end up not securing as many points as he would have hoped for today. Lando Norris down in fourth, Leclerc fifth, and then it's Valtteri Bottas. So the thing can still manage to get a good points finish here today, as well as Daniel Ricciardo. You know, he's still there in P7, right behind the fin of Valtteri Bottas. So that fourth place position is still very much up for grabs as we now enter going through the final sector of this lap, and we're really starting to feel these medium tyres are really feeling like the better race tyres around this circuit, setting 2 green sectors already. It might even be a personal best for us as we now cross the line 1.2 seconds up, and now we're now seeing the rest of the cars making their pit stops, with the undercut doing wonders for us here today, with Mazepin all the way down the order, and now we may even end up catching Giovinazzi on the exit of his pit stop down into turn 2. He parks his car so well we have to actually brake and slow down just behind him so we don't actually plough into the back of that Alfa Romeo car. So we may have to now try and do it on the second DRS straight instead, down into turn 13, and we just about keep the car on the track this time. So next up on our hunting list is Lance Stroll, who's just up ahead. But look at that, the man ahead of him, Yuki Tsunoda, 2.2 seconds ahead of Lance Stroll. So we're right amongst the thick of it once again, with Tsunoda, remember, being the man who is just behind Vettel as we spun at turn 15. Now, can we have a little look down the inside of Lance Stroll? No, we can't. We can't manage to get past the Canadian on that dive bomb, and we know better to wait patiently and wait until there's a better opening, a better gap to do so. So thankfully for us, we've rejoined this train of drivers just up ahead, and I think there might be someone further afield that's maybe got some damage as someone's going slow, it looks like. But back on board with us, and we're getting the slipstream from Stroll with the DRS open. We almost send it into the barrier, but we know from before going round the outside works, and we do just that once again to get past the Aston Martin car. But unfortunately for us, we haven't managed to break the tail of the Canadian right behind us, and can he have another go on us on this second DRS straight? Down we go into turn 13, and he sails past us in a dark green Mercedes. We couldn't stop that at all, and now we have to try and recompose ourselves, and maybe we can get him again on the start finish DRS straight, and that's exactly what we're going to do, sizing up the move from way back. This is going to be an audacious move if we manage to do it, and no, we can't. Lance Stroll, he parks that car, parks his rear end so well, and we just can't manage to do it on this go. But now further on through the lap, and both the Alpine cars, they're fighting for that position. They're fighting for P13, it looks like, and that's just holding the rest of the pack up as we make the move on Lance Stroll. So this is going to put us in a good position along this second DRS straight to maybe get 4 moves in one go. Neither Alpine car still not letting up. We've all got DRS apart from both the Alpine cars. It's going to be hectic down into turn 13, and Lance Stroll, it looks like someone crashed him behind behind us, I think it was Lance Stroll, and I just saw an end plate go flying along the tarmac there, and hopefully we don't have any damage from that incident. We just got shunted in the back. I think it was by Stroll or Giovinazzi, one of them, and we haven't had any news of any damage so far from the heads-up display. But let's have another look at what just happened. We moved back onto the inside to the racing line because there was just nowhere for us to go. We would have had to cut the corner, which we maybe would have got a penalty for because of what our corner cutting in the first half of the race, or move back onto the racing line like we did, and that's ended in disaster for the cars behind us. It just caused like a pile-up effect, and yeah, Lance Stroll's come off worse from that instant, but luckily for us, he's holding up Sainz, who's one of the faster drivers amongst the pack here, so hopefully that'll be a position that we won't be able to concede further on in the race. But nevertheless, Stroll eventually comes into the pits, of course. Luckily the pit lane entry wasn't too far away for him from the incident. But it looks like further afield, Alonso has broken the toe of Ocon. He's managed to get ahead, and Russell just comes out of the pit stop right now. We go round the outside of the Williams man, who's a bit slow coming out of the pit lane entry. And that's another position for us for now as we enter P14 on the race. But right now, look at Russell. He's on the soft tyres right behind us. So even though our car may be slightly faster than the Williams, we're still going to have a big task ahead of us at keeping the Brit behind us. We know how fast Russell is in real life, and maybe he'll be able to show his pace here today, so we just need to be wary of that. But once again, we go late on the brakes down into turn 13, and that's just not helped our race against George Russell at all, as he's now hot on our tail through sector 3, and I don't think we're going to be catching Ocon anytime soon if we can't keep this Williams car at bay. But now the Brit is sizing up and moved down the inside towards the penultimate corner, and behind us he's spun it. George Russell has spun that Williams car round and is facing the pit lane entry. George Russell tried to make the move way too early. As we went to cover him off, it just ended in disaster for the Williams man. As you can see, our back end stepped out from us on the exit of turn 13, and that allowed George Russell, look, he's right behind us on our tail, almost going jockeying for position with us. And on the soft compounder tyres, he thought he had the overwhelming pace, but I think, it was a tight one to call. I don't know if that was my fault or he just tries to make a very audacious move from way back. Maybe seeing it from his perspective may give us a better idea of what just happened. And yeah, I think he just tried to. He wasn't really side by side with us as we entered that penultimate corner, and I think it was really his fault for trying that move when he didn't really have the facilities for that big man. So nevertheless, we now go chasing after the Alpine man of Esteban Ocon. We're now flying towards his rear end as we enter turn 2, the best place for overtaking on this section of the track. And once again, we go round the outside to complete the move, and it's just becoming our signature move this time out at Russia. But as we skip forward onto lap 22 now, so 4 laps later, and we've made some time on Ocon. I don't know where he's gone. He must have moved all the way down the table behind Giovinazzi now. But Sainz is hot on our tail. The man who I thought we had covered off after Stroll, he had the incident and was stuck behind the Canadian throughout sector 3, but right now he's back in business. Carlos Sainz making the move on us down the home straight. He didn't even need to go around turn 1 to make the move, but we're still there using all the ERS to try and keep up with him, but he's just going to sail right past us with the overwhelming pace of that Ferrari engine. And now hopefully we can just keep with him until the checkered flag. 4 laps to go, and hopefully, even though it's not points, we can just keep this P13 position. It's been a very underwhelming race for us today, but that's just sometimes what you get, luck of the draw. Unfortunately for us, we made a mistake that was costly for us, but luckily we are finishing this race, and we're going to get some money and some R&D points from this race, because throughout this whole Russian Grand Prix, we've had an ICE unit that's been at 80%. Well, it's reached 80% now. I think it must have started at just over 60, and that's like danger territory for a component to be blown up. So we've been extremely lucky to be able to even finish this race. But up at the sharp end, Max Verstappen, Perez, hats off to them. Round of applause to Red Bull as they've been dominating this race, and hopefully this is a new chapter in this season for Red Bull, and they can now go on to fight alongside Mercedes for that title, as there's still 7 races left in this season and they've got all the time in the world to be able to improve their car and provide us with a very entertaining finish to season 1. So hopefully that's what will happen, but we'll have to see for the remainder of these races. And Max Verstappen crosses the line, but Giovinazzi, he's not letting up for P14 as he's making the move on us to try and grab P13 in the last sector 3 of this track, and we just about managed to close the door on the Italian for now, and it's only a few more corners to go until we see that start finish line, and I think we've just about done it. We've closed the door on Antonio and we're gonna make it home in one piece. ICE at 80%, so our engine is screaming out, but nevertheless the start finish line is there and we cross the line from what could have been from a very promising qualifying session, making it through to Q3, bumping up into P7. We had all the luck in the world from Saturday, but Sunday just wasn't meant to be, as Pierre Gasly gets driver of the day.
We've witnessed some great battles here in Sochi, and they've taken a fantastic win. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
Yes, so thankfully we see another winner on the top step of the podium, and Red Bull make it back-to-back wins in this career mode season where Mercedes have been dominating recently. So it's so good to see another team up on the top step right there. But for us, we are out of the points here today at Russia. Unfortunately for us, we had a mistake that just proved to be so costly for us, with a massive train behind us. You know, we were never going to make up those positions once we lost them. Our teammate down in P19 started in P19, so not too bad for him, I guess. Nevertheless, I think that does pretty much confirm that we will get a new driver come the start of next season. I think we just about had enough of Felipe Drugovich. He's tried his best, but he just doesn't seem to be focused enough to warrant his place in F1 at the moment, or in our team. I think we just have big ambitions for this career mode, and we want to be finishing in the points every single race, so that's what we're going to hope for next season. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this episode, then hit that like button and subscribe down below for more F1 content.